Update, I, 22 male, just walked in on my stepbrother, 16 male, and stepsister, 15 female, having full-blown sex. I have absolutely no idea what to do. Original post. I am my mother's only child. My mom married her now husband about 2 years ago, and with him came his 3 kids. I now have 2 brothers and a sister. I have always gotten along with them just fine. Nothing overly personal. It was basically like that group project in high school with people you aren't friends with but are still friendly. Anyway, today I was supposed to meet my college friend for lunch. I got to the place, but at the last minute he texted me saying his dog got into his M&M bowl and he needed to monitor him. I said okay, and I drove back home. I walked in the house and started to make lunch. I even shouted to my step-siblings that I was making lunch and if they wanted anything. No reply. I started eating my sandwich when I heard this creaky sound. I didn't think too much of it because when our shower turns on, you can have a similar sound for a few seconds down here. About an hour later, I hear the same sound, which worried me because being a college kid, an hour-long shower seems foreign to me. I walked upstairs to make sure no one fell down or was hurt, and the shower wasn't running at all. I walked into my sister's room to make sure everyone was okay, and to my surprise, explaining it even makes me want to vomit. I saw my stepbrother and sister having sex. I basically said in that voice you have when you have the chills, "Oh my goodness," and slammed the door shut. My brother quickly came out while I was running down the stairs and shouted, "Please tell no one." I didn't even look back. I got into my car and drove away to a bar where I am still. On one hand, this is absolutely disgusting to me, but on the other, I feel like it really isn't any of my business. I don't know if I should tell my mom and stepdad or should I just leave it alone. I don't know if it was a one-time thing or if they were in some gross sibling relationship. Either way, I haven't answered either of their texts and I'm sitting here grossed out. How do I proceed? Now for the comments before reading the update. Are they full-blood siblings? I know that 15 and 16-year-olds, that seems like a normal age to start that sort of stuff, but with your brother and sister? Hells no. They have a serious issue if they think that kind of conduct is okay, and someone needs to intervene, even if it's not you. What are their texts saying? Hang on to them, because if you do decide to tell someone, you're probably going to need proof. I can't imagine what it'll be like returning home. Maybe take your mom aside and speak to her in private first. OP says they are full siblings, yes. The text started about 3 hours ago and they said, "Why would you do that?" and are now saying, "I can't believe you would hurt us like that." So I think they have a game plan of some kind set up. I was thinking it could be something even more sinister. What if the sexual abuse is occurring in the house from someone, the stepdad or uncle or something, since they have both been abused from a young age from a family member? They may now have very warped views on their sexuality now, and may have bonded from both having sustained abuse elsewhere, or the brother, having suffered abuse, started an abuse cycle with the sister from a young age, and now you've just caught them doing something they have been doing for ages. OP, you need to be prepared for this rabbit hole to go way deeper. Trust no one and expect anything. It may be hard to hear from them your father abused them when they were young, but that might be a possibility here. I think you need to talk to them in person and be their friend that they can trust and ask about previous abuse cycles and affirm consent from the sister. Don't make any quick decisions. Don't do anything rash. From my POV, the big issue is one of them taking advantage of the other. Is this consensual? Because of the closeness of their ages of your siblings, I would like to assume that it is consensual and that there is nothing abusive, but this is something that you must consider. Talk to each of them separately. Simple fact-finding. When did this start? How long has it been going on? Are they both comfortable with this? Is it consensual? What are they planning to do in the future? My feeling is that you need to speak to your sister alone and get her side of the story. If it is consensual, you have to judge whether you think they are mature enough for this. And then it really isn't your place to judge, despite how gross you find it. If this is in any way abusive, then you'll have to take action to protect the victim. Absolutely this. You didn't ask for this situation, and it is obviously disturbing to you. Please handle it with care and maturity. As soon as you can get yourself together, speak to them. Take the advice from above, but also talk to them about the risks and especially the consequences of how a pregnancy would impact them and the rest of the family. Your own freakout is tame compared to what wider society and the law will do to them both physically and emotionally. It won't be pretty for the rest of the family either. Bring the parents into it only if it is non-consensual and abusive. Otherwise, let them know it's not your cup of tea, you do care about them both, but still think it's a bad idea. Then talk to them about the need for the highest levels of vigilance and discretion. Above all else, OP, remember that they are people, not things. Right now, they are terrified and alone. Secret relationships are very, very hard on the people involved and could probably use some support. To those suggesting a draconian response because they're an abuse non-consent issue, that is absolutely why this is the first possibility that should be checked out. But it's not a conclusion that should automatically be assumed. If it is mutually consensual, it is entirely possible that they grow into healthy, emotionally stable, functional adults, no more screwed up than anyone else. If draconian measures are taken, this outcome will not be possible for either of them. Now for the update. Okay, Reddit, sorry for the delay. I haven't had the chance to get back to the bar here, and I've been really busy trying to get my shit together after all of this. The saga isn't over, so I'm sure this won't be the last update. So after I left the bar that night, I went to stay at a friend's house. I thought about what the hell I was going to do, and decided that the best course of action was not to say anything to my parents yet, but to talk to my siblings individually first, and then together and see what was going on and if one or both of them needed help of any kind resolving this situation. Well, that was a nice plan, but it blew up in my face the next morning. I woke up to text from my mom telling me to come home and that we needed to have a serious talk before my stepdad gets home. I was hesitant to ask why or to give away any information that I have had on my own, as I didn't want to either A, make it seem like I knew anything she didn't, or B, turn on my stepbrother and sister if they hadn't turned on me. When I walked in the front door, I was immediately stopped by my mom, who was sitting on the couch with my stepbrother and sister. My stepsister was crying into his shoulder. My mom asked me to sit down, and I can't exactly remember everything she said word for word, but first she asked me if I had anything to say for myself. I told her that I had no idea what she was asking me that for. She took a deep breath and told me that when she got home last night, my stepsister confided in my mom, woman to woman, and that I had been inappropriately touching her for several months, and that yesterday my stepbrother caught me and chased me out of the house. I was mortified and tried to explain the real situation, but it pretty much sounded like I was grasping at the straws for an excuse. I explained the whole situation to my step-siblings, took turns saying you're sick, and how long did it take for you to come up with that? You're disgusting. I told my mom that I would never even think about doing something like this, and that it was a disgusting assumption and that she should believe me, her own son. She basically said that she won't pick sides in such a delicate situation, and that my stepdad would have to get involved. My stepsister instantly butted in and said, "No, please don't tell Daddy. He will just get angry and nothing will go back to the way it was." I just wanted to go back to the way it was, and then continue to cry. I was sick to my stomach. I never used profanity around my mother, but I shouted to her, "If you are honestly believing her shit over me, then you are no longer a mother to me." She was obviously upset. I stormed up the stairs, grabbed some clothes, and walked back out and went back to my buddy's house. The next few days go by, and my mom has been calling and texting saying that no one is ever going to tell your stepfather, and that I don't want to jeopardize her family. No one else needs to know what happened. But in my head, I just can't agree to that and let it go. It would be admitting to something that I did not do. Not to mention my mom would see me in a completely different way, a disgusting predator way, if she doesn't already. I have gone home a couple of times since then and grabbed some clothes and left. My buddy is fine with me staying for however long, although he has no idea of the situation. My stepfather remains clueless, and I am pretty much stuck in this void until I figure out how to convince my mother that this didn't happen, or convince anyone that this didn't happen. Story 2. Update: me, 26 female, with my jealous girlfriend, 24 female, makes up stories about me staring at other people and flirting with my ex watching porn, etc. Want it to stop. Original post. I moved for work and met her there. We have been together for 8 months, but were friends and flirting for about 6 months before that. We stay over at each other's flat maybe 4 nights a week. She wants to move in together, but I think that's a bit hasty for the reasons laid out in this post. Then again, if I moved in with her, maybe this would lessen her insecurities. I would like to point out that I'm a complete monogamous and I love her very much. To start off, I'm a late bloomer when it comes to being attracted to women. I've never felt this way about a woman before. I don't stare at women, never have, and was very much attracted to men. I have slept with a handful and enjoy their physiques, etc. Amy, on the other hand, has known that she was into women for a long time, has only slept with one man, and sees herself as a lesbian. I really don't care for having to tag myself as bisexual, but this labeling seems to be important to her for some reason. Me and Amy were friends that steadily flirted our way into a relationship, and I was honestly so surprised to feel this way about her. But her insecurities are baffling to me. I tell her all the time how sexy she is, how hot her body is. She definitely knows that I'm incredibly attracted to her, and I am. She's gorgeous. I don't know how relevant this is, but early in our relationship, she jokingly told me that she's been checking out other women. I truthfully don't do that. She said that I shouldn't deny it because she's also seen me checking out one of her friends' boobs, but I really hadn't. She asked me why I don't look at other girls, and I said, well, do you check out other women? And she said no, and I jokingly teased her that she dropped herself in it. I'm not a jealous person, so for all I know, her behavior is reasonable. I'd like to point out that every time she gets jealous like this, she always wants to have sex, and this seems to relax her. It's like she does a complete 180 and is calm and loving again. But the sex is quite dominating, which I don't mind really. I was just wondering if there was a connection. We went home to my family over the holidays for a couple of days, and I met up with some of my old friends. One of them is my ex-boyfriend Josh. We ended on good terms. We still talk now and then, and it's fine. He's dated since we broke up. She's met him before and she seemed okay with him, but this time she was very quiet. Afterwards, she told me that he clearly still has feelings for me because we were fake laughing and hugged. Everyone was laughing and enjoying themselves except her, and again, everyone hugged each other except her. I told her that I'd hardly seen my old friends since I moved, and I was just happy to see them all again. I don't think he still has feelings for me, but for argument's sake, he might and he might not. Our relationship's completely platonic now, and I'm happy with her. She told me that he was a bit too manly if to say I was attracted to women. He's quite muscly and recently grew out a beard, and to be honest, this just annoyed me. I don't know what she expects me to do about my ex growing a beard. I told her that I didn't want to discuss it anymore, and she reluctantly left it there and initiated sex, but the rest of the holidays sucked. Last night she told me that she's been snooping and had caught me watching porn. I haven't watched porn in a long time alone, so I knew that this was BS. She didn't believe me and became less joking, and I told her that I hadn't watched it alone in years. I thought this would make her feel relieved, but then she asked me what I used to watch. I told her truthfully that the only kind that I used to watch was of men masturbating, and she flipped out telling me that that's disgusting, that I just had to watch something with no women in it. I told her that I don't watch it anymore and that I am happy to watch lesbian porn from now on if she wanted, hoping that she'd find it all funny. She told me that she couldn't cope with even thinking that I'd find another woman attractive, and I told her that I'd only been attracted to one woman, which was her, and that's the truth. She asked me what I liked about watching men masturbate, and I told her that I don't really know, but they're just usually better looking than in straight porn. She started having digs at the amount of men that I slept with, even though it's single figures, and so I pointed out that she slept with one before. She told me that she thinks of it as gross and doesn't understand how I could have enjoyed it. I told her that it was because, like her, I was attracted to them as people, not just what's between their legs, and told her that I was going to bed even though I just wanted to get away from her for a bit. She apologized this morning before work, and realistically, I don't want to end things between us. I just want her to calm down a little. I don't think I've done anything to justify her behavior, and can't understand why she's not happy to know that she's the only girl that I'll ever love. I've got some patience left, but I don't want this to go on indefinitely. I really don't know where this jealousy's coming from, to be honest, or what to do about it, and was just wondering if other people had some pointers. Now for the update. Thank you to everyone who replied on my OP. I read them all, and they helped a lot. After writing my OP, I was pretty distant and had blown off seeing her for a couple of days because I was trying to get my head together to decide what to do. So she showed up at my flat drunk and crying hysterically, streaming makeup, etc. It was not good. I let her in, but I was quite annoyed as I had work the next day and she knew this. She tried to kiss me but stunk of alcohol and sick. She pulled me into the bedroom and started feeling me up, so I just laid her down on my bed and told her not tonight. Like some of you said, she uses sex to control me and the situation, and thought that I'd be spending the night in the front room. Then she screamed, "Talk to me." It was a bit crazy and I was taken aback, and I assumed that she wanted to talk about us, but then she blurted out that she had had sex with some random guy. After she told me, it was like my mind blanked and my face began burning up. I just felt so angry, it was horrible. It was a complete what the F moment. I was a bit in denial at first, but then she told me she'd done it to see why I enjoyed it and to make me jealous. Well, it worked. I was livid. She then tried initiating again, which seems insane in hindsight, and told me that she didn't want him to be the last person to touch her, which disgusted me. I was pretty enraged by this point, so I decided to leave, and seeing as she was a drunken mess, she couldn't stop me, so I slept in my car. I received several voicemails of her crying hysterically, but I had work and so turned it off, but I didn't get much sleep. I spent most of the workday unfocused. I felt awful and my coworkers thought that I was ill. It's what I imagined having a breakdown like this, and I never wanted to feel like that again. I was dreading going home thinking that she might still be there, so I stayed late. She texted me asking me where I was, so I knew that she was there. I decided to spend the night at a friend's house, and a couple of her other friends came too to make it a night of it. They offered to drag her out if I wanted to. They're good friends. I got a call from my dad telling me that Amy's rang them crying because I'm missing. I didn't want to bring him into the drama, so I told him that we had argued and that I was at a friend's house. Not long afterwards, I get a load of texts along with the lines of, "Where the F are you? Are you with someone else? Let's talk. How could you do this?" etc. My friend answered one of the calls and told her that I was staying with her tonight. This may have been too far, but I was hurting. The next day I decided to go home. She was there, everything was spotless, she was dressed up, it was torture. She tried to hug me, but I recoiled into my front door. And once again she burst out crying, which sort of broke my heart, so I held her for a while. She told me that she had not gone to work for the last 2 days and asked where I'd been. I told her I'd been with a friend, and she said, "A friend?" She asked me if I slept with her, if I found her attractive, etc. I told her to leave it and that I wanted to talk about her cheating on me. I think the direct wording hit a nerve for her. She said that she thought that she was a rational person who didn't get jealous, but that she can't help herself with me. And as some of you said in the comments, it's not just men. She doesn't want me to be attracted to anyone else ever. At which point my rage was back and I was like, "So why the F did you cheat on me?" Her excuse is that she felt inadequate next to Josh and my genre of porn, and because I had distanced myself from her, she thought that she was losing me, so she went out drinking and some guy was overly hands-on with her, and so she thought if she slept with a man, she'd know if she had anything to worry about. She told me that she cried all the way through it and it felt horrible and even painful, and she had to think about me to get through it, but felt too scared to push him off. What the F? And afterwards, she missed me so much, so she came to see me, but then when I turned her down for sex, she felt like I was pushing her away again, and so told me to make me jealous. She says she feels guilty and dirty and just wants to be my girlfriend again. I was really broken by this point. I felt like I had a cocktail of feelings going on. We kissed and she began initiating, but touching her just felt so wrong, and all I could think about was how she'd been with someone else and how easy she is. I told her that I didn't understand how she could sleep with someone else if she was so in love with me, and that I'm not the type of person who can get over cheating even though I wanted to. Long story short, I broke up with her. She doesn't believe that I mean it, and I do really miss her, but I can't get over this kind of thing. I've never felt pain like it, and so how can I forgive someone who caused it? We don't live together, so there's not much that needs to be done. I guess that's it, really. That's all for today. If you're enjoying the story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.